Thank you, everybody, for the invitation. It's always a tremendous pleasure to be at Symbiosis and interact with friends and colleagues with the same interest. Josh has introduced perfectly the session, highlighting the main themes and the main threads of this conversation of the beyond mobility. And Cornelius has put the spotlight on collaborative online international learning through the Kudu project. Before I get into the details of these aspects, I hope you're seeing my slides. Yes, can I get a great? I want to have us all stop for a second and think about how we used to structure learning experiences on the two main axes of time and space. Traditional learning experiences were almost always structured in a co-located fashion, meaning all the learners and the learner facilitators were in the same space and in a synchronous modality, in the same space at the same time. The pandemic has forced some of us who had not done that jump earlier, pre-pandemic, to all of a sudden quite rapidly move from co-location to a remote modality where the learners and the learner facilitators are no longer in the same space. And more radically, for people who had never done online learning before, sometimes the learning experience is structured so that it doesn't happen synchronously at the same time. Facilitation and learning doesn't happen at the same time, but in a more diluted modality across time, in an asynchronous modality. So I want you to think about these two parameters of time and space as we approach this issue of what is facing international higher education beyond mobility. And I agree with Josh that international higher education was not just mobility even before the pandemic, but it was most primarily focused on co-located synchronous experiences. Whether it was mobility or it was internationalization at home, it was almost always experiences in which what was happening in the same space at the same time.